The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
Here's the thing, okay? Pius Suter could have been the perfect suitor for a lot of teams. This deadline a couple years ago, the Red Wings could use Pius Suter, but here he is saving us, being our number one center. Let's talk about that and ask you the biggest Canucks question ever on this episode of Locked On Canucks.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, co-host of Locked On Canucks and also a Canucks writer currently with Daily Hive Vancouver. Before we get into the show, we got to thank you for tuning in to Locked On Canucks because it is your Canucks every damn day. And we're not here without you and you and you and you and you tuning in. And we're also not here without those sponsors. And today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Go download that Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. The Vancouver Canucks stayed alive last night, as we talked about on the abbreviated postcast here on Locked On Canucks. And a big reason why they stayed alive was because of Pius Suter. Now, I know many Canucks fans, including Kyle and I, were saying, why not trade this guy at the deadline, go get a haul? But the thing is, you were never going to get a haul for Pius Suter. Now, did NHL teams, did they F up by not wanting to pay for a premium for Pius Suter? And let's talk a bit more about the value he brings to your Vancouver Canucks right now. And other teams that coulda, shoulda, woulda traded for the Swiss Army knife. And like Kyle alluded to, let's get into the big question. Canucks fans, they're the craziest in the NHL. And are Canucks fans wanting to see a higher draft pick than getting into the playoffs? Is that really the case? All that and more coming up on this episode of Locked On Canucks. But before we do that, let me introduce my co-host, Kyle Bowen, rocking the dad vest today. What's going on, brother?
Dad vest, you know what it is, acting like a 32-year-old. I feel it, man. You should see my jeans too, man. Looking like a dad. Canucks fans, are they crazy? Are they nuts? Are they passionate? Of course. And what do they want? Do they want a higher draft pick, or do they also just want Aquilini to suffer? No, straight up. Well, again, we'll get into that in a couple of minutes. But Trevor, get right into it. Like, why do you think so many teams across the league didn't want to buckle up and pay more to get Pius Suter at the deadline? Okay, we heard Alvin come out and say, "Oh, you would have laughed at the offers we got for Brock Besser, assuming it was like, second round picks and whatnot, and that's all." I wonder if the teams across the league weren't even offering that to get, again, Pius Suter, right? We saw this love for Scott Laughton. Maybe if Pius Suter wasn't from Switzerland, but if he was from Brampton, Ontario, or, Vikingstad, Alberta, I don't even know if that's a place, but maybe it would change. Again, I just feel as if outside the last two seasons of him playing, primetime hockey for the Vancouver Canucks on primetime TV, being on one of the most polarizing teams, getting all the limelight. Even before that with Chicago and Detroit, guys been pretty quality. And you kind of need guys like this to go deep into the playoffs. And yeah, Pius Suter, a big part of the Canucks last year, especially in April, especially in May. If Pettersson wakes up, we're winning. We're beating the Oilers, boom, bam. All in all, though, why do you think teams didn't want Pius Suter at the deadline?
Well, I think there's a bias against him because he's not the biggest guy in the world. He's not the quickest guy in the world, right? In today's NHL, you prioritize speed, and I think physicality is still a big thing in today's NHL too. Now, one of the things when I think about a Pius Suter trade is I look at a guy like Brandon Tanev. Brandon Tanev, your typical fourth liner. He's got 9 goals and 17 points this season with the Kraken before he got traded. Now up to 10 goals and 20 points overall. Whoop-de-frickin-do. Pius Suter has double that in goals. And Brandon Tanev got a second-round pick at the deadline because he's a relatively quick player and because he's physical and maybe a good dressing room guy, if someone would call it that too. Now, Pius Suter, I can almost guarantee you there was probably not even a second-round pick on the table for this guy.
Nuts.
Because he's just not highly valued around the league because he lacks size and he lacks speed. But Alvin said it during his... What's that, buddy?
Sorry to cut you off because you're the nerd. You're the fancy stat guy. Like, I'm pretty sure you could do one Google search. And again, like, analytically speaking, like, you must have not the highest speed metrics, but I feel like something may give when it comes to, like, I don't know, his Corsi or something may give when it comes to how good he is on the penalty kill. Again, he's not the most explosive offensive player. He's not that good at faceoffs and whatnot. Not the best center in the world. Not the best bottom six center in hockey. But based on the fact that this guy scores anywhere from 15 to 20 goals, and he's been on fire this year, and again, he's been doing that consistently. Like, how can no team not want to give a second round pick for him? It makes no sense. Like, you're seeing, like, what did Luke Shen get? Like, how did you get Luke Shen? Wasn't that a second round pick as well?
And a fourth, yep.
Okay, so all I'm saying, like, it must be a Switzerland thing, man. Maybe they, I don't know. I'm not calling the league race. I'm just saying, like, dude, if he was Canadian, it'd be completely different, bro. Because Pius Suter all season long and even last year, again, he's just been so quality. And Rick talked about how he's like it's like having an extra assistant coach on the bench.
Yeah,
Pius Suter there, and he's just so reliable and so good. And dude, like, he has a little bit of a gamer in him, you know. He has that competitive nature. He sells hard. He wants to win. And again, who knows if he can step up tomorrow against the Islanders or on Friday against Columbus, being the number 1 seed. You know, we see this all the time. Like, depth players step up every once in a while when they give him more opportunity. And yeah, we need more from him. But man, oh man, like, he's just a quality piece. And, you know, you brought up the whole Evan Rodriguez comparison, obviously different types of players, but you just kind of need that quality seventh forward in a long playoff run. You can't have enough of those guys. And he just seems like that guy. So yeah, sorry to cut you off, but it just, like, he's not the fastest, but he's still damn good. Like, really, really quality. You don't get a lot of bad games from Pius Suter.
Can you think of one bad game that Pius Suter's played? I mean, when we think about bad Pius Suter, it was the lack of finishing in the playoffs, right? But, you know, Rick Tocchet alluded to it, and that's why I do think he's kind of the silent leader on the Canucks. And Rick Tocchet said he's kind of like an assistant coach out there because he's a systems player. He knows how to fit in, and he knows how to be versatile too. Like, Kyle, every single team in the league could have used a Pius Suter, and we alluded to it prior to the trade deadline, like why he was such a valuable trade chip, because teams need guys like an Evan Rodriguez on their team, guys who can slot in from your first line to your fourth line, much like Pius Suter has done all season long. And Kyle, I don't think we'd be in a world where Pius Suter was our first line center and we'd be, throwing the guy flowers. But man, oh man, 23 minutes last night, a goal and an assist. He did get that third goal did get credited to Connor Garland. But he was so quality. And Kyle, not only that, but just look at the penalty kill numbers as well, man. My God.
I've been waiting for this.
Yeah, so on the penalty kill this season, he's been one of the top penalty killers in the NHL.
Whoa.
In terms of the competition he's faced. And he's only been on the ice for 3.51 goals against per 60. Among regular penalty killing forwards, that ranks in the top 5. In fact, for guys who play over 2 minutes on the penalty kill per game, so top penalty killers in the league, that ranks 3rd. The only players who are better are Jordan Martinook in Carolina, and of course, Teddy Bluger on the Vancouver Canucks, Pius Suter's penalty killing partner. I mean, those two have formed a duo that's allowed the Canucks to have one of the best penalty kills in the league. And again, he's providing value there. He's not playing as your first line center. He's got 20 plus goals in the season, just tied a career high in points last night with 36, despite playing middle 6 minutes through most of the season. I mean, Kyle, like, you look at a Brandon Tanev, how he got a second at the deadline, how Luke Shen got a second and a fourth. Pius Suter, based on his value, should have gotten a first-round pick if the Canucks traded him. But with us pushing for the playoffs right now, I mean, man, oh man, I don't want to get too caught up in, let's make the playoffs. And thank God we kept these guys, because I do feel like you got to have a long-term vision. But a big reason we are still in the fight, and potentially the primary reason we're still in the fight, at least based on last night, is because we still have Pius Suter on this team.
No, 100%. And not to go there, because I know people are really hot. Like, we're feeling good after yesterday's win, but if the Canucks don't make a playoffs, like, you have to look at this deadline as one of the biggest mistakes in recent history for your Vancouver Canucks. Like, that's actually, sorry, Trevor, that's the truth. I'm trying to be optimistic. I'm trying to be hopeful. But again, if the Canucks don't make the playoffs, the big reason why this season would be an F plus or just an F, because, our defense, our young defense stepped up. So it goes from an F plus to an F, is, again, a team that's been historically bad over the last 10 years decided not to sell at the deadline, which is, again, stupid. So make the playoffs. And yeah, Pius Suter on the penalty kill. Like, Trevor, our penalty kill since, I know we allowed a goal yesterday, but since January 1st or February 1st, after the Miller trade, has been the best penalty killing unit in hockey. And Pius Suter, not the biggest guy, not the fastest guy, but man, as Burn Sticks is commenting, okay, size and speed are, overrated and BS. Real talk. Okay, all the greats are average size, not giants. The bigger is dumber. Boom, bam. Like Pius Suter, at the end of the day, it's safe to say this: NHL executives weren't doing their jobs. They weren't doing their jobs, scouting like some of the best UFAs out there and some of the players that were available via, the trade deadline. It's like you just want like the Devils gave up what, a 3rd round pick for Cody Glass. Yeah, Cody Glass is young. You know what I'm saying? Come on, what are you doing? What are you doing? Scott Lawton went for a 1st round pick and a prospect. I like Scott Lawton because he's a good locker room guy, but let's be real. Okay, Anthony Beauvillier got a 2nd round pick. Like what? The Pittsburgh Penguins got a 2nd round pick for Beauvillier. What? What are we even doing here? What are we doing here? And you're just the clear answer is like, yo, you're not watching Pius Suter. And again, not the sexiest player, but I'm just surprised because he's been around the league for a long time. And even going back to August of 2020, what would that be? 2023. The fact that the Canucks signed this guy in August, or was it late July?
It was August. I remember that day. Yeah.
$1.6 million per year. Like that was a steal, even at the time, or just above value. I think he pulled out the athletic player card. It was like $3 million or whatever. But historically speaking, like with Chicago, with Detroit, and with Vancouver, like Pius Suter's been very, very quality. So it leads me to this question, and let us know in the comments right now. Because Trevor, we briefly touched on this yesterday, but I think it's a must. The Canucks have to sign Pius Suter. If they're leaning into being a hard team to play against, if they're leaning into being defensively sound, and assuming, they want to continue to be a good penalty killing team, again, Trevor, come on, bro. It is what it is. Yeah, so what? You never envisioned a day you'd pay Pius Suter 4 years at 4.5 per. But it is what it is. This guy's a good hockey player, and you got to pay for good hockey players.
Yeah, and I think the debate, which will go on into the offseason, obviously, is at that price, can you keep Brock Besser and Pius Suter? The answer is probably not. And if you don't keep Brock Besser, who are you bringing in to replace him? Because you're going to have to find someone pretty cost efficient if you're going to get Pius Suter that kind of money. A couple more notes here before we cut to break. Kyle, you mentioned the penalty kill. It is 3rd in the league since January 1st. Obviously dropped a bit after that goal last night. It is 1st overall in the league since February 1st, and it's 5th overall in the NHL this season.
Trevor, I got another one. Gustav Nyquist went from Nashville to Minnesota for a 2nd round pick. Gustav Nyquist has 23 points this year and 9 goals.
Yeah, they're paying for last year where he had 75 points, which is now looking like more of an outlier.
Like I'm just saying, like no team will want to give a 2nd round pick for. What is going on here? Like y'all just gotta. Again, I keep saying it. That's why everyone was stroking off Quinn Hughes yesterday when he was on ESPN on Amazon Prime. They're like, oh my, Quinn Hughes! We didn't know he could do this. Quinn Hughes. Yo, I'm pretty sure Amazon had like 4 Canuck games, and they're like, oh, Quinn Hughes. I don't know what the hell. How was he so good? Like, dude,
I'll be damned.
It's the same thing with Pius Suter. Like I'm just telling you, these guys in the East. They don't watch any Canucks games. They watch the highlights, right? And I think if you just watch the highlights and look at the box score, you're like, oh, yeah, Pius Suter, with all the injuries and increased role and, blah, blah, blah. You see a lot of players, get career highs and UFA, you're blah, blah. Dude, y'all just not doing your jobs, man. Another case, man. How do these people do it, man? How can they cover hockey but go to sleep at 10 o'clock at night? Like you're watching a children's game. Stay up till 1 o'clock. Watch it all.
Yeah, 100%. And, I think it's twofold. I mean, let us know in the comments, whose fault is it in terms of the Pius Suter trade deadline debacle, if you want to call it that? Is it Alvin for not marketing the player properly? Is it other teams who are not valuing Pius Suter properly? Or did the Canucks make the right call by keeping Pius Suter? Let's pick up the conversation on the other side and go bigger picture here on Locked On Canucks after we shout out our friends over at FanDuel and wonderful Pistachios. Man, oh man, March Madness is here. Kyle, do you ever do a March Madness bracket?
No, I'm not a degenerate. If I'm not watching any college basketball, you think I'm going to put money on the line to predict 64 teams in their games? Like what? Come on, dude. My father raised me better. Please tell me you're not doing that because you got to pay for tuitions and stuff, man.
No, I'm too dialed into hockey. If it's not the Canucks, there's other NHL teams. If not that, it's the Abbotsford Canucks, the junior teams. Come on, man. I'm a hockey guy first and foremost. But whether it's March Madness or the NHL, FanDuel is giving you a chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to overtime winners to even who's going to score the shootout winner. What? And, man, oh, man, I'm looking at the NHL schedule tonight. Lots of big favorites tonight. Toronto, big favorites over Philly. Tampa, big favorites over Pittsburgh. Carolina, big favorites over Nashville. You could even put together a nice little parlay if you really wanted to on FanDuel. So visit FanDuel.com to get in on the action all season long. Man, there's nothing I love more than talking about my nuts. But the things I like talking about, second most aside from my nuts, is the nuts from Wonderful Pistachios. Because Wonderful Pistachios, it's the snack that's both delicious and nutritious. And man, oh man, especially on a day like today, I'm buzzing around, okay? I don't got time to eat. So I just got a snack on Wonderful Pistachios in between meetings, in between bathroom breaks. Come on, man. As long as I'm not eating on the toilet, it's all good. And Wonderful Pistachios, I eat them because I want to follow the Kyle Bowen diet. Kyle Bowen, for those who don't know, eats nothing but bananas and Wonderful Pistachios because it is the highest protein nut. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help you feeling fuller for longer. So if you want to have a 16-pack, like Kyle Bowen, make sure you get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more.
People. We're back doing this, and that's staying alive, man. I thought we were gonna sleep with the devil last night. Have you ever slept with the devil, Trevor? Late at night, you go to a dark place. Next thing you know, you're in bed with the devil. Boom, bam, taking it all over the place, and you're just in the dark. You never been there. I thought I was gonna go to sleep depressed last night because I thought it was gonna be over. 1 game and a half, 5 points out. The Blues won today. We'd be 7 points. I was doing all that math, and I was like, okay, hockey's not going to be funny anymore. But, hey, we survived, Trevor. And I'm not going to front. I watched Jonathan Lecker-Mackey's goal late at night at like around 11:30 before I went to bed about 6 or 7 times because, me in 2025 decided to give up So I'm watching different things late at night. And it just feels good to be alive still. I know. It still seems like mission impossible. And we have to do a lot of schedule watching and whatnot. And we're battling injuries. And we still got to play like a handful of games with Teddy Bluger as your number 2 center. But we're still alive, Trevor. We're still alive. Anything is possible.
Anything is possible, man. And hey, first and foremost, good for you for giving up corn late at night here in 2025. Has that actually been going on? Yeah, you've actually given up all 2025?
It's almost been not that I was addicted or not. No, I didn't have a problem. Nothing. Trust me, it was not like that. I was just like, dude, I'm 32. It is what it is. It's arthritis. You got to think about the time on attack and all the, the Pistachios injury that Demko has, and every time he does a split, you're like, oh my god, something's gonna happen. I just have to put into consideration, dude, I need to hold a hammer down the road, and fix things around the house. So where are we going with this? Oh yeah, the Canucks are still alive, and dude, I still see people online, and let us know in the live chat. One love to all of you guys. Hey, do us a favor, hit the like button right now. It really helps us out a lot and helps the channel grow and helps Trevor smile. Some Canucks fans out there still believe it's best for this team this year not to make the playoffs, right? And you look at all the injuries. We don't even know if Pettersson's going to play. We don't know when Hedo's coming back. I get where their rationale is because, you're going to get bounced in the first round anyways, right? Quote unquote. So they don't want the team to make the playoffs because they want a higher draft pick. And then there's another part of that fan base that's like, yo, why don't make the playoffs? We need to stick the middle finger to Francesco Aquilini and not get this guy any playoff revenue. We need to change, blah, boom, bam. All this noise is happening. And I'm like, yo, are you guys nuts? Are you guys nuts? You guys haven't had playoff hockey in 8 or 9 years. We never get into these tight races for a playoff spot. You know what I'm saying? We're what's the math? 3 points out, 1 game in hand. You got the best player in hockey right now. Quinn Hughes is playing like that, dude. You gotta roll with the punches and salute the competitiveness. And I know playoff experience is quote unquote overrated in the eyes of many, but not to these competitive players, man. They want the experience. Look how much Quinn Hughes got better off of one real playoff experience. Look how much better he's gotten just based on the noise you heard from Rogers Arena. I think he's on a mission to get that feeling again. Again, you're a fan. He's a player. He wants that. It matters. You don't think he knows that we have his version of the Canucks this year has less of a chance of being successful than last year? He knows that, but he wants to hear the noise. And I want to hear the noise too of Rogers Arena. I want to stack up playoff appearances. And I think whether we make the playoffs or not, two things are true, man. Like, Aquilini's not going to sell the team, and Aquilini's not going to sell the team. So we're better off just, finding success, stacking up playoff appearances. Everyone save their money, and we'll buy the Canucks down the road if you really want Aquilini out of there. But for now, it's like, I salute the effort, and I'm all in, bro. I'm all in. Make the playoffs, and we touched on this early, Trevor. We didn't trade Suter and Besser. Like, I don't want this to be the worst season ever, because if we don't make the playoffs, you can make the argument that this is the worst season ever.
Well, I'll say this. For those pessimistic Canuck fans who want the team to, miss the playoffs, and there was some rhetoric yesterday about why is Demko even playing? Why is he risking injury for this playoff push?
Why is Hughes playing? People are like, why is Hughes playing?
Yeah.
Crazy.
No, it's a loser mentality, Kyle, honestly. And I will say this, like, being a Canucks fan, it's one of the hardest things in the world, man. I mean, that might be a bit of a hyperbole, but look, this is the most cursed franchise, the most cursed franchise in the NHL among active teams. We're talking about 55 plus years, 3 conference championships. I mean, the freaking Vegas Golden Knights have been to the conference finals more than we have. I mean, it's been hard being a Canucks fan, so I don't blame Canucks fans too much for being petty, but you got to get past the loser mentality. Mm-hmm. Because why do you want to cheer for losses at this stage of the game? The Canucks are 3 points out of a playoff spot, Kyle, like you mentioned, with a game in hand. And I do think most of our commenters and most fans are on the bandwagon. They want the Canucks to win. They want good hockey. It hurts when the Canucks lose. Like, it's, I think we've seen it on our show too. Like, maybe the view's ticking down a bit, like people just getting fed up with this team. And even people I talk to who are casual fans are getting a little bit tuned out. And, one of my friends, she said she stopped listening to all Canucks podcasts because she was just so pissed off about the team. So
I've been there
around the fan base. Like, you want winning, and it's hard to cheer for a losing team. And that being said, I think fans are thinking like, I'll get the high draft pick, build for the future. But I do think it's a small minority of the fan base because, Kyle, like you alluded to, we have the best defenseman in the world on our team right now. We have a guy in Elias Pettersson who, up until 12 months ago, looked like one of the best players on the planet. You have a good coaching staff. Like, there are pieces on this team. And look, I think there's a comment here from our buddy NGKHLRR who talked about, did you catch Quinn Hughes saying that he's excited for what's being built in the next couple of years? And I think that comment hopefully makes Canucks fans feel a bit better, because obviously there's some tentative nature about, is Quinn Hughes going to stay long term? But you want to say that
some Canucks fans, sorry to cut you off, but some Canucks fans look at that comment, they're like, oh my God, why didn't he say a decade? No, straight up. It's like some Canucks fans are like looking at the couple and they're just immediately looking at the 2-year thing. Again, it's like that loser, the world is crashing mentality, right? And just to like rub off on that point, because again, a lot of people are looking at that quote and just looking at 2 years. It's like, dude, that's why you want to win. That's like, you never know. You never know. If we're in the dance, or we're in a situation where we can compete for the dance, let's get in there. You never know what's going to happen. Let's win another round. Not going to win the cup, but let's stack up success. Competitive like Quinn Hughes, they like that. It may not be like you and I, where we're trying to map out how to win a Stanley Cup, but last time I checked, nobody here knows how to win a Stanley Cup. But again, we have one of the best players. You know how rare it is? You know how rare it is that we have like that guy? Even when Henrik and Daniel are playing at their peaks, like people would still make the argument, and it's valid, that like Ovechkin was better, Crosby was better, right? But in this case, I know there's still McDavid and Draisaitl, but I'm telling you right now, I've watched a ton of hockey, and I've watched McDavid and Draisaitl play. The way Quinn Hughes is playing right now is on par with Connor McDavid. It really is. That's the truth. So let's lean into that.
Honestly, if you want to look at game score this season, and this is over The Athletic, I should say, it takes into account the last 3 seasons. So obviously, Connor McDavid has been pretty stellar, but his market value, according to The Athletic, is $14.5 million. Quinn Hughes at $14.3 million. I mean, Quinn Hughes has provided almost the exact same value as Connor McDavid, and this season he's provided, I would say, more value than Connor McDavid, because obviously it takes into account the last 3 seasons, but this season gets more of a bump. I mean, according to this, The Athletic, Leon Draisaitl is, the most valuable player in the Pacific Division. and the league this season for that matter.
Yeah.
But Connor McDavid and Quinn Hughes are pretty much neck and neck in terms of their contributions to their NHL teams this season. I mean, again, this is not the time to cheer for a loser. This is a Canucks team that is in the race, a Canucks team that can make some noise. We'll see if they actually get into the dance because they're going to have to go on quite a run here.
Oh, yeah.
But I am, for one, I'm not cheering for the Canucks to lose. And I hope you feel the same way, because cheering for sports is supposed to be fun. If you're so petty that you're cheering for the team in the thick of a playoff race to lose, you need to get your freaking head checked, man. Okay, let's wrap up the show here on the other side of Locked On Canucks. Get to a couple comments and preview the competition for the Canucks tonight and how they're going to stack up in the playoff race. Listen to Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every damn day. We'll be back on the other side after showing it our friends over at Gametime. There's nothing like watching hockey live, the energy of the crowd, the sound of skates on the ice, and maybe even a celebrity sighting in the stands. Shout out to Kevin James, baby. You saw him there. Shout out to Chad Kruger. If you want to catch a game in person, Gametime makes getting tickets even easier than ever. Look at these Gametime picks. They filter out all the fluff. Show you only the best deals on great seats. Are we going to get canceled for that? Anyways, make sure you use Gametime picks. You have to waste time scrolling through thousands of tickets. You know the deal if you're an everydayer. Kyle and I use Gametime to go to the Canucks and Utah Hockey Club, and now we're banned from Rogers Arena for superstitious purposes. But anyways, if you're going to go check out the Canucks or anything else, make sure you take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime picks. Go download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Gametime.
Okay, we back doing this, and that's talking about your Canucks. One love to the Don't Doze Our Lab for giving us the space to give you that West Coast bias. One love to the Locked On Podcast Network for giving us that culture. Everyone watching this, hit the like button, leave us a 5-star review, and Begsy, let's read some comments here on Locked On Canucks. Mel Vaughn saying two things, okay, that I want to talk about, okay? Sideshow Bob on the program saying Demko can steal us round one. Hey, maybe Kevin Lankinen can do that too. And then he also left this comment too that Quinn Hughes is trying to do too much. And I think this is an interesting comment. I'm not even going to disagree with him completely, because I know what he's trying to say, because it's very obvious, like extremely obvious right now, that Quinn Hughes has the give me the puck mentality. He has the puck hog mentality, and I'm okay with that. Please keep hogging the puck and keep schooling any single player. It doesn't matter who it is. It could be Matt Rempe, or it could be the strongest defensive forward on the New Jersey Devils. They're getting schooled by Quinn Hughes, and Quinn Hughes is opening up a lane like he did at the end of the game to tie up the game. Right? Look at what he did in that tight right, he picks up the puck on the backhand. It doesn't look similar to what he did against Nashville in Game 4, but it's like his ability to just create space and do whatever he wants is a necessity right now, because if you look around him, he has nobody. And even if Pettersson was in the lineup, you still want Quinn Hughes doing this, because Pettersson's not at peak powers, right? And right now we have to climb a ladder, and the whole team has to hop on this guy's back. So I actually want Quinn Hughes to keep hogging the puck, and to rub off of that. GL is saying that, poor Hughes looks exhausted and frustrated by the whole team. I don't disagree with that too, but Quinn Hughes, he's accepting the challenge. And as a spectator of this, and this season has been so traumalicious, and I've been bullying this team, and I've been all over this place, and I've been down and out. At this point, during the last 11 games, I'm turning on the TV. I cheer for the Canucks, but I want to see one dude carry a whole team, my team, to the playoffs.
And he might just do it, Kyle. I mean, as we talked, the Canucks have a game in hand. They are 3 points back at the St. Louis Blues, who play the Montreal Canadiens tonight. Now, I want to shout out this comment from, again, NGKHLR. I want to know what that stands for. Let us know in the comments, buddy. Blues got to be due for regression. PDO must be high or something. Now, we talked about it on yesterday's episode of Locked On Canucks. Since the Four Nations break, the St. Louis Blues are riding a PDO of almost 106, which, again, the average is 100 or 1,000, however you look at it. the St. Louis Blues have by far the highest PDO in the NHL since the Four Nations break. And even overall this season, they have the 4th highest PDO in the NHL. So what I'm saying is the St. Louis Blues, they've won 6 games in a row. They're 8-1-1 in their last 10 games. They're due for regression at some point here. I mean, there's not much time left in the season, but they're not going to win their next 12 games in a row. And today against the Montreal Canadiens, to me, this is the must-see matchup of the schedule tonight in the NHL, because both the St. Louis Blues and Montreal Canadiens are holding on to the final wildcard spots respectively in each conference. And I got to say, vive les habitants. Let's go Canadiens.
I'm not watching that game. In fact, Trevor, I promise you, I'm not schedule watching today. I don't want to do it till like tomorrow morning. I don't. No, I don't, because I want to get work done today, and I'm so addicted to the Canucks right now that I'm not gonna. I just don't want to watch the score between Calgary and Seattle tonight and Montreal and St. Louis. Like, just, honestly, call me. I don't want to play this game because it's like if you don't call me, then I know the result. But please call me if St. Louis does lose today, okay? Just so we can like take a little 5-minute conversation and do some math. Yeah. All in all, though, I'm just blessed is not the right word, but I'm so addicted right now to what's going to happen here. And isn't that surprising, Trevor? I know we have to go soon, but I guess just answer this. And if you want to pick a comment, do so. But like, how are we here? You know, we're every single player is injured. Our top 2 centers are injured. We also traded JT Miller. We've been all over the place, down and out. Quinn Hughes was out for like 13 to 14 games. Demko missed like 90% of the season. Pettersson missed 500 games. Besser was concussed. Hronik missed 2 months. Again, Miller got suspended. I mean, he left for 10 games. Joshua, there's been so much ish. And here we are again without Hedel and Pettersson and Höglander. And I'm like, we can go 11-0. We can beat the Islanders. We can beat Columbus. Like, I should be stressing, but I'm hopeful. Like, wow, how is that possible?
Yeah, winning cures a lot. And I even think of that comment from Sideshow Bob there about Demko stealing round 1. I mean, like, we're feeling so down after the weekend. Obviously, the Canucks played a great game against the Rangers. They should have won, but their playoff odds took a massive hit. They were 5 points back of the Blues ahead of the game last night. We won 1 game, and it's like, Demko can steal a round. Let's go, baby. I mean, it's an emotional time of year, and we're emotional guys on this podcast. But look, I think we're doing a good job of covering it each and every day through the highs and through the lows as well. I do want to get to a couple more comments before we get out of here. I want to touch quickly on Pius Suter. Again, I'm shouting out NGKHLR a lot here, but Pius Suter worth $5 million plus. Gigatronic saying Chicago will overpay Suter. Look, the Athletic player card, and I'm going to go pick quickly here on the Winnipeg Jets one more time. According to the Athletic player card, Brandon Tanev's worth $1.4 million. Luke Shen actually worth $3.1 million. I found that surprising. But anyways, the combined value, $4.5 million. Winnipeg paid 2 seconds and a fourth to get those guys. Pius Suter, who again remained with the Vancouver Canucks, is worth $5.4 million according to the Athletics player card. I don't think he's getting that. I mean, I don't think he's getting over $5 million. But he's firmly in that $4 million range right now. And again, 20 plus goals. He can play up and down your lineup. He's a top penalty killer in the NHL. This is an extremely valuable player. And Kyle, I think we'll get more so into Pius Suter, what his value is later in the offseason. But for now, I'm just happy that this guy is on my team, helping the Canucks push for the playoffs. Last comment goes to Space Whales, saying Quinn Hughes is the number 1 player in the NHL. I'd pick him over anybody. Amen to that, brother. And we hope that you pick Locked On Canucks as your first listen of the day, your first podcast over everything else as well. The Quinn Hughes, a podcast, if you will. What? And that was another episode of Locked On Canucks in the books. If you like what we're doing, go subscribe and like this video on YouTube. Help me change my life. Help me make my children proud. And on the podcast side, go follow us and leave a 5-star review. Spread the word. But for now, we got to get out of here. I'm Trevor Beggs. That guy is Kyle Bowen rocking the dad vest. My God. And you've been listening to Locked On Canucks.
I'm just happy Pius Suter's better than Elias Lindholm, man.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.